Beyoncé just ended someone's career without saying a single word. Ray J tried to go to war. Brandy's account got hacked with death threats. And the Queen, she posted a photo that erased everything. This silent execution has the entire music industry shaking because nobody is safe anymore. Everybody thought they knew what happened at the Boy Is Mine tour. Beyoncé showed up to support Brandy and Monica. Nostalgic vibes, R&B unity. That was the version everyone repeated for weeks. Fans posted the cute moments, the hugs, the backstage glow. But now, leaked observations, suspicious patterns, and a violent public call-out from Ray J got the whole narrative twisting. Because what looked like support, insiders are saying it was actually a calculated freeze-out, a public humiliation disguised as friendship. And when Ray J tried to defend his sister, he didn't just start beef. He triggered a digital warfare campaign that left Brandy's reputation in ruins, and the Beehive mobilized like a military strike force. Let me break down exactly how this whole thing unraveled, because the details are chilling. Beyoncé attended multiple stops on the Boy Is Mine tour: Dallas, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and every single time the same pattern emerged. Cameras captured her embracing Monica, laughing with Rowland, posing with backup dancers, hugging security, smiling with fans backstage. But Brandy? Nothing. Not a handshake, not a glance, not even a polite acknowledgement at her own tour. At first, fans tried to rationalize it. Maybe they missed each other in the chaos. Maybe the angles were bad. Maybe Beyoncé was tired. But then it kept happening again and again and again. Screenshots started circulating on Twitter showing Beyoncé in the same room as Brandy, literally feet apart, and the body language was ice cold. Fans online turned into investigators, analyzing every photo, every video clip, every backstage moment like they on some CSI mission. They started studying posture, eye direction, who Beyoncé walked toward and who she walked past. And folks online swear the pattern is undeniable. One viral thread broke it down show by show, timestamp by timestamp, proving that in over 6 documented backstage interactions, Beyoncé never once directly engaged with Brandy. Not even once. And here's where it gets even crazier. TMZ just dropped footage from the Atlanta stop where you can clearly see Beyoncé entering the VIP area, making the rounds, and when she gets near Brandy's section, she pivots, she turns, she redirects to Monica's side of the room. The body language experts online went absolutely feral over this moment, claiming it's a textbook avoidance tactic. Deliberate, calculated, brutal. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Beyoncé is a master of non-verbal communication. She doesn't need to say a word to send a message. Her presence alone shifts rooms. And what she was doing at this tour, that wasn't accidental. That was a statement. Because in the entertainment industry, silence is the loudest weapon. When someone at Beyoncé's level refuses to acknowledge you publicly, it sends shockwaves. Brands notice, producers notice, the media notices, and suddenly you're radioactive. But it gets even wilder. Fans started digging into the promotional material for the tour, and this is where the conspiracy theories exploded. An alleged tour poster started circulating online showing what appeared to be Brandy's face cut out. Now, whether that image was real, doctored, or completely fabricated, nobody knows for sure. But the symbolism? Devastating. The internet ran with it. Memes flooded timelines. Beyoncé said "erase her" became a trending phrase, and whether it was true or not became irrelevant because the narrative was already locked in. And honestly, that's the genius and the horror of it. Beyoncé didn't have to confirm anything. She didn't have to respond. She didn't have to defend herself. The Beehive did the work. They flooded Brandy's comments. They analyzed every interaction. They built the case themselves. And meanwhile, Beyoncé stayed silent. Because that's the strategy. Let the army handle the dirty work while you remain untouchable. Online detectives took this to a whole new level, cross-referencing Beyoncé's past public appearances and identifying other artists who mysteriously fell out of her orbit. They started creating lists, timelines, and connection maps like they were working for the FBI. And the pattern they claimed to have found? Chilling. Artists who once collaborated with Beyoncé, who once appeared at her events, who once had her public cosign, suddenly vanished from her circle. No explanation, no drama, just gone. Erased. One viral TikTok broke down at least 7 different artists over the last decade who allegedly experienced the same treatment. The video got millions of views and sparked a massive debate. Is this coincidence? Is this just natural career shifts? Or is this a deliberate pattern of elimination? Fans are split. Some say it's strategic brand management. Others call it ruthless industry politics. But one thing everyone agrees on, once Beyoncé goes quiet on you, your career trajectory changes fast. Now, let's talk about the specific moment that made this whole situation go nuclear. Because what happened next wasn't just drama, it was a public execution. Now, let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking into place. To understand why this tension exists, you gotta go back, way back, to the early 2000s, to the era when Brandy was that girl, the vocal Bible, the princess of R&B. She had the hits, the respect, the influence, and Destiny's Child? They were rising, but they weren't untouchable yet. The industry was big enough for multiple queens. But then something shifted. Destiny's Child became a global phenomenon. Beyoncé went solo and became the biggest star on the planet, and Brandy, her career trajectory changed. Not a crash, not a failure, but a plateau. She stayed relevant, stayed respected, but she never reached that same stratospheric level again. And in an industry that worships dominance, that difference matters. Think about it. These women came up in the same era, were compared constantly, and had overlapping fan bases. But one became a cultural deity. The other became a respected legend. That kind of comparison, that kind of shift in power dynamics, it creates tension, especially when you remember they were once peers, once equals, once competitors. And it gets worse for Brandy. Over the years, multiple collaborations between her and Beyoncé were teased, but never materialized. Fans begged for it. The chemistry was there. The vocal blend would have been insane, but it never happened. And every time it didn't happen, the whispers grew louder. Beyoncé doesn't want to share the spotlight. She sees Brandy as competition. She's protecting her brand. Whether those whispers were true or not, they became part of the narrative. Now, let's keep it real. Brandy has had her share of career challenges, legal issues, public controversies, industry politics, but she's also had incredible comebacks, versus battles that reminded everyone of her greatness, acting roles that showcased her range, a loyal fan base that never left. She's been fighting to stay visible in an industry that often discards women the second they're not dominating the charts. Meanwhile, Beyoncé is still out here showing untouchable success. Renaissance album, record-breaking tours, billion-dollar brand deals. She's not just successful, she's a cultural institution. And that gap, that massive difference in current industry power, it creates a dynamic where one person holds all the leverage. Put all that together, and it looks like the perfect recipe for a one-sided power play. Brandy trying to celebrate her legacy with a nostalgia tour, Beyoncé showing up seemingly in support, but actually reinforcing the hierarchy, reminding everyone who the real queen is, not through words, through presence, through strategic absence of acknowledgement. And here's the part that makes this even more complicated. Brandy couldn't call it out. She couldn't say anything. Because what would she say? Beyoncé didn't hug me? That sounds petty. That sounds jealous. That sounds like someone who can't handle not being the center of attention. So she stayed quiet, smiled for the cameras, pretended everything was fine, while the internet noticed, while the fans noticed, while the industry noticed. This is the part where Ray J enters the story. Brandy's younger brother, protective, loyal, impulsive. He's been in the industry long enough to know how it works. He's seen his sister's career ups and downs. He's watched her get overlooked, underestimated, disrespected. And when he saw what was happening at this tour, when he saw the pattern, when he heard the whispers, he snapped. Ray J didn't send a subtle message. He didn't drop hints. He went full scorched earth. He went live on social media and called out Beyoncé and Jay-Z by name. He accused them of industry manipulation. He accused them of sabotaging careers. He accused them of running the music business like a mafia. The rant was unleashed. It was emotional. It was explosive. And it was the worst possible strategic move he could have made. Because here's what Ray J didn't understand. You don't publicly challenge Beyoncé. You don't call out the Beehive. You don't paint a target on yourself and your family, because the retaliation won't come from Beyoncé. It'll come from everywhere else. The fans, the media, the algorithm, the culture itself will turn against you. And that's exactly what happened. Within hours of Ray J's rant going viral, the internet exploded. TMZ picked it up, blogs went feral, hashtags started trending, hashtag Ray J is lying, hashtag protect Beyoncé, hashtag Beehive attack. The Beehive mobilized like a military operation. They flooded Ray J's comments with attack messages. They dug up every past controversy. They created memes mocking him. They turned it into a punchline fast. But they didn't stop at Ray J, because in war, you don't just attack the soldier, you attack what they're trying to protect. And Ray J was trying to protect Brandy, so the Beehive went after her too. Her comments became a battlefield. Her mentions became a war zone. And then, in the middle of this chaos, something absolutely insane happened. Something that changed everything. But here's the part that really hits different. The one who got caught up in the middle of all this madness was Brandy herself. This woman barely engages in online drama, barely responds to negativity, and just tries to live her life, focus on her music, and stay out of mess. And she ended up in a terrifying situation because her brother tried to defend her. That's messed up. The leaked footage and screenshots from this whole incident show fear. You can see the panic in the damage control. You can see the desperation in the emergency statements. You can see a woman who woke up one morning to find her entire digital presence hijacked. Her verified Instagram account, the platform she uses to connect with fans, promote her work, and control her narrative, was turned into a weapon against her. Posts appeared out of nowhere, threatening messages, ominous captions aimed straight at Beyoncé. Screenshots went nuclear across Twitter. Fans screamed that Brandy had finally snapped, that she'd gone full scorched earth, that she was done playing nice. Headlines declared R&B war. The blogs had a field day. Brandy finally claps back at Beyoncé. R&B queens in social media bloodbath. The narrative was written in real time. And Brandy? She was probably asleep, or in the studio, or with her family, completely unaware that her entire reputation was being destroyed minute by minute. That's somebody's sister. That's somebody's mother. And they're dealing with trauma over a situation they had nothing to do with. Because she didn't post those messages. She didn't start this war, but she's the one paying the price. Within moments, her team scrambled. Emergency shutdown, lawyers involved, PR crisis mode activated. The statement came out fast. Hacked, account compromised. Not her, investigation underway. But it was too late, because once the internet sees it, once the screenshots exist, once the narrative locks in, you're finished. The damage was already irreversible. And the cruelest part? We still don't know if it was a real hack or something else entirely. Was it a random cybercriminal? Was it coordinated? Was it retaliation? The timing is too suspicious to ignore. Right after Ray J's explosive call-out, Brandy's account turns into a digital crime scene, the coincidence feels impossible. Fans started conspiracy theories immediately. The Beehive has hackers. This was planned. They're sending a message. Whether any of that is true, nobody knows. But the fear it created, that's real. Because if it can happen to Brandy, a verified celebrity with security and resources, it can happen to anyone. This isn't the first time someone connected to Beyoncé drama experienced mysterious digital chaos. Fans started pulling up old receipts, other artists who spoke against her and then experienced account issues, sudden suspensions, lost verification, algorithmic suppression. Again, maybe it's all coincidence, maybe it's paranoia, but the pattern makes people nervous. And while Brandy scrambled to survive the fallout, while her team worked overtime to contain the damage, while she dealt with the emotional trauma of watching her name get dragged through the mud, Beyoncé did the most terrifying thing possible, the move that sent chills through the entire industry. She posted. Not a statement, not a denial, not an explanation. A photo. A single Instagram post that said everything without saying a word. And it was brutal. The image showed Beyoncé glowing backstage, smiling, radiant. And next to her, Rowland, embraced, elevated, celebrated. The caption was sweet, something about sisterhood and legacy and love. But the message? Savage. Because Brandy? Nowhere. Untagged, unmentioned, erased. Fans lost their minds. The comment section became a war zone. She said everything without saying a word. This is how you end a career silently. Cold, calculated, brutal. She really just said, Brandy who? The post got millions of likes in minutes. It trended across platforms. It became the final word on the situation. And here's why this move was genius and absolutely terrifying. Beyoncé didn't address the drama. She didn't acknowledge Ray J. She didn't mention the hack. She didn't defend herself. She just posted a picture celebrating someone else, someone in Brandy's exact lane, someone from her own legacy group. She replaced Brandy in the narrative. She showed everyone exactly who she chooses to elevate. And the implication was devastating. The symbolism was so heavy that media outlets analyzed it like a political statement. Think pieces were written. Beyoncé's strategic silence, a masterclass in power. How to end beef without saying a word. The Rowland post that destroyed Brandy. The optics were brutal. It wasn't a shade, it was erasure. Fans started creating side-by-side comparisons. Screenshots of Beyoncé with Monica at the tour, screenshots of Beyoncé with Kelly in the new post. And in every single image, the same thing was missing. Brandy. The visual narrative was undeniable. Beyoncé built her version of R&B sisterhood, and Brandy simply wasn't in it. And it gets even crazier when you realize the timing. Beyoncé doesn't post randomly. Every image is curated, every caption is intentional, every upload is strategic. She has a team that plans the stuff down to the minute. So the fact that this post dropped in the middle of this chaos, that wasn't coincidence. That was calculated. Online culture experts started breaking down the psychological warfare happening here. They called it narrative hijacking. Instead of fighting the story, Beyoncé replaced it. She created a new headline, a positive headline, a headline that centered her chosen people. And in doing that, she made the Brandy drama look petty, desperate, and irrelevant. The Beehive understood the assignment immediately. They flooded the post with comments reinforcing the message. This is what real sisterhood looks like. Kelly been loyal since day one. She supports the ones who support her. Every comment was a subtle jab at Brandy. Every like was a vote of allegiance. The post became a loyalty test. And the industry watched closely. Because this wasn't just celebrity beef. This was a demonstration of power. This was Beyoncé showing exactly what happens when you step out of line. Not lawsuits, not diss tracks, not public arguments, just strategic silence and calculated positioning. You don't get attacked. You get removed from the narrative entirely. Let's keep it real. Everything is speculation until someone speaks directly, but the circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. The patterns are there, the timing is suspicious, the optics are damning. And whether it was intentional or coincidental, the result is the same. Brandy's tour moment, which should have been a celebration of her legacy, became a nightmare. Her brother's attempt to defend her backfired catastrophically. Her social media was weaponized against her. And Beyoncé? She came out looking untouchable. Frame-by-frame analysis of the backstage footage shows micro-expressions that body language experts claim revealed discomfort, tension, and deliberate avoidance. Fans slowed down videos to 0.25 speed, zooming in on eye contact, hand placement, proximity patterns. They created maps of movement, showing exactly who interacted with who and when. And in every single analysis, the conclusion was the same. Beyoncé avoided Brandy. Voice matching software was even used by some extreme fans trying to verify certain audio clips from backstage moments, claiming they could hear tension in vocal tones during group conversations. People compared mannerisms from past award show interactions between Beyoncé and Brandy versus recent tour footage, alleging a 78% decrease in friendly body language indicators. Whether that number is scientifically valid or completely made up doesn't matter. The internet believed it. The narrative was set. TMZ ran multiple segments on this. Other gossip outlets picked it up, and the story grew legs. And the more it spread, the more real it became, regardless of the actual truth. That's the terrifying part about modern celebrity culture. Perception is reality. And once perception locks in, there's no escaping it. Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize this isn't happening in a vacuum. The music industry has been watching this playbook for years, and Brandy isn't the first artist to experience this kind of freeze-out. Fans have been compiling lists of other musicians who mysteriously disappeared from Beyoncé's circle after alleged tension or perceived slights. There's the case of former collaborators who were suddenly never mentioned again in interviews, producers who worked on early Destiny's Child projects but were phased out as Beyoncé's solo career took off, backup dancers who spoke out about tour conditions and then never worked in that orbit again, industry insiders who gave interviews that were slightly critical and then found themselves subtly blacklisted. Again, none of this is confirmed. None of this is direct evidence. But the pattern is what makes people uncomfortable. Because when you start connecting the dots, when you see how many people have similar stories, when you notice how consistent the outcome is, it stops feeling like coincidence. It starts feeling like strategy. One viral Twitter thread from last year documented at least 12 different artists across various genres who had public falling outs or mysterious distancing from Beyoncé's brand. Some were major names, others were rising stars who suddenly stalled. The thread got deleted within 48 hours, which only made people more suspicious. Fans archived it, screenshots were saved, the information spread anyway. And honestly, this is where the conversation gets complicated. Because on one hand, Beyoncé has every right to choose who she works with, who she associates with, and who she publicly supports. That's business, that's branding, that's smart. But on the other hand, when you have as much power as she does, when your cosign can make or break careers, when your silence can destroy someone's opportunities, the ethical questions get heavy. Is it fair? Is it justified? Is it just the reality of a competitive industry? Or is it ruthless elimination of potential threats? Fans are split on this. Some say she's protecting her legacy and has earned the right to be selective. Others say she's weaponizing her influence and crushing people who don't deserve it. The debate rages on every platform. Meanwhile, Ray J been dealing with his own fallout. The backlash from his rant was immediate and brutal. Brands distanced themselves. Potential collaborations got pulled. His mentions became a disaster. He tried to clarify his statements in follow-up posts, but the damage was done. The Beehive had already labeled him. The media had already framed him. He went from protective brother to villain in less than 24 hours. And the cruel irony, he thought he was helping Brandy. He thought he was standing up for her. He thought he was exposing unfair treatment, but instead, he painted a giant target on her back. He made her the center of a controversy she never wanted. He triggered a chain of events that left her more damaged than before. Sometimes, trying to fight the system just makes things worse. This whole situation also highlights the power of fandoms in modern celebrity culture. The Beehive isn't just a fan base, it's an army. They're organized, they're relentless, they're loyal to a fault. And when they perceive a threat to Beyoncé, they attack with coordinated precision. They don't need instructions, they don't need permission, they just mobilize. Other fan bases have tried to replicate this level of organization, but few have succeeded. The Beehive operates with military efficiency. Hashtags trend within minutes, negative content gets reported and removed, opposition voices get drowned out. It's psychological warfare powered by stan culture, and it's terrifying if you're on the receiving end. Brandy's fanbase tried to fight back. They created counter hashtags. They posted supportive messages. They tried to shift the narrative, but they were outnumbered. The Beehive is simply too big, too fast, too overwhelming. It was like bringing a knife to a drone strike. The effort was noble, but the outcome was inevitable. And this is the reality of modern fame. It's not just about talent anymore. It's not just about hits or awards. It's about army size. It's about who can mobilize faster. It's about who controls the narrative online. Beyoncé has the biggest, most powerful fandom in music, and that's a weapon that never stops firing. And this story is still unfolding with way bigger implications than just one incident between two R&B legends. What we're seeing here is how silence has become the most powerful weapon in celebrity culture. How strategic absence can destroy reputations faster than any diss track ever could. How the refusal to engage is actually the ultimate engagement. The bigger conversation is about power dynamics in the entertainment industry. When one person reaches a certain level of influence, when they become more than an artist and transform into a brand, an institution, a cultural force, the rules change. Their actions carry weight that goes beyond personal beef. Their decisions affect careers. Their silence can end opportunities. What Beyoncé allegedly did to Brandy isn't just about two women having tension. It's about what happens when someone with ultimate power chooses to deploy it. And the terrifying part? She didn't have to say a word. She didn't have to make a statement. She didn't have to publicly attack. She just had to exist in a specific way, position herself strategically, choose her alliances visibly, and the industry filled in the rest. This is psychological warfare at its finest, and it's a warning for anybody with fame, influence, or aspirations in entertainment. The more you challenge someone at the top, the more you risk not just losing a battle, but being erased from the game entirely. Not through violence, not through legal action, through narrative control. And the media enables this. They profit from the drama. They amplify the speculation. They turn every gesture into a headline, every post into a declaration, every absence into a statement. Beyoncé understands this. She's mastered it. She weaponizes the media's hunger for content by giving them just enough to speculate about, but never enough to definitively prove. This situation also exposes how vulnerable artists are in the digital age. Brandy's account hack, whether real or staged, whether random or coordinated, it shows how quickly someone's entire platform can be weaponized. Your voice can be stolen. Your words can be fabricated. Your reputation can be destroyed while you sleep. That's terrifying. And let's talk about the fans, because they're not innocent bystanders in this. They're active participants. They build the narratives. They spread the theories. They attack on behalf of their idols. They create the environment where this kind of psychological warfare works. Without the ByHeaves coordination, Beyoncé's silence wouldn't be as powerful. Without the amplification, the freeze-out wouldn't be as effective. So the question becomes, where's the line? When does fan loyalty become mob mentality? When does protecting your favorite become destroying others? When does stan culture cross from passionate support into actual harm? These are questions the industry hasn't figured out how to answer yet, but the consequences are real. And now we're at the point where Brandy's team is in full damage control mode, trying to rebuild a reputation that got shredded in 48 hours. The statements have been released, the account has been secured, the apologies have been issued, but the internet never forgets. The screenshots are saved, the narrative is archived. The association between Brandy and attacking Beyoncé is now permanent in search results. This is the collapse we're watching in real time. Not a loud, explosive crash, but a slow, strategic erasure. Brandy will likely survive this. She's too talented, too respected, too established to completely disappear. But her trajectory just changed. Brands will think twice. Collaborators will hesitate. Opportunities will quietly disappear, all because of a situation she didn't even start. And the speculation is wild right now. Fans are theorizing about what happens next. Will Brandy address this directly? Will she go on a podcast and tell her side? Will she continue to stay silent and try to move past it? Every option has risks. Speaking out could reignite the war. Staying silent could look like guilt. There's no clean exit. Some insiders are whispering that Brandy might be planning a major interview to set the record straight. Others say her team is advising complete radio silence for at least 6 months. Let the story die. Let the algorithm forget. Let the internet move on to the next drama. That's probably the smartest play, but it's also the most painful, because it means accepting the narrative, accepting the damage, accepting the loss. Meanwhile, Ray J has gone ghost. His social media activity dropped to almost nothing after the initial explosion. He's not doubling down, he's not defending his position, he's hiding. And honestly, that's probably wise, because every time he posts anything now, the comments are brutal. The Beehive hasn't forgiven, they haven't forgotten. They're waiting for him to slip up again. The industry is watching all of this with fear, because if it can happen to Brandy, if someone that established, that respected, that talented can get taken down this fast, nobody is safe. The message is clear. Don't challenge the throne. Don't speak against the queen. Don't even imply criticism, because the retaliation won't be public, it'll be silent. And that's so much worse. Some insiders are predicting this will blow over in a few months. Others think this is a permanent shift in how Brandy is perceived. The truth is probably somewhere in between. She'll recover, but she'll carry this scar. The industry will remember. The internet will remember. And Beyoncé? She'll continue being untouchable, because that's what happens when you master the art of strategic silence. Stay locked in, because this story is about to get even crazier. More details are dropping every single day. More clues are surfacing. More fan theories are being built. And reports say Brandy might be planning some kind of response project, whether that's new music addressing the situation, a documentary about her career struggles, or a tell-all interview that finally breaks her silence on industry politics. So drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Beyoncé deliberately froze out Brandy, or is this all just internet conspiracy and over-analysis? Do you think the account hack was real, or was it something more sinister? Do you believe Ray J made things worse by going public, or was he right to defend his sister? And honestly, do you think Brandy can recover from this, or is her reputation permanently damaged? I want to hear everything, your theories, your takes, your predictions, because this community is where the real conversation happens. The comment section is where we break down what the mainstream media won't say. Make sure you smash that like button if this video gave you a whole new perspective on celebrity power dynamics. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss a single update, because we're covering every twist, every leak, every development as this story continues to explode. We're talking exclusive breakdowns, insider information, and deep dives into the psychology behind celebrity warfare. And listen, if you made it this far, you're part of the real ones. The people who don't just consume drama, but actually understand the layers beneath it. The power plays, the strategic moves, the psychological warfare happening in plain sight. I appreciate you for rocking with me through this entire deep dive. Seriously, thank you for your time and attention. I'll see you in the next one with more breaking updates, more shocking revelations, and more unfiltered truth about what's really happening behind the scenes in the entertainment industry. Stay safe out there, stay aware, and remember, in the world of celebrity power, sometimes the most dangerous move is the one you never see coming, the silent execution, the strategic erasure, the cold, calculated removal from the narrative. That's the real game. And Beyoncé, she's the Grand Master. Peace.